Hello, this is Brian Foley. I'm interviewing my mother, Donna Reardon Foley. This is for the SOLAS interviews. And hello, Donna. How are you?
I am good today.
That's very good. First question is, where did your relatives or family come from?
Well, my mother's people came from Scotland, and they came over, and my father's people, I'm not sure, but I think they came from Ireland. And
wasn't your family name from Scotland? It was?
McKilligan. M-A-C-K-I-L-L-I-C-A-N.
Was it McKilligan or McKillican?
McKilligan.
McKilligan, okay. I've been saying it wrong all these years. Okay. So, how did they get to Butte?
Well, my father, I don't know, because he came from Boston, and his mother and father, he thought his siblings died in the plague, and he was put in an orphanage and adopted. And the people that adopted him lived in Boston, but they moved to Montana, and he was their only child because he was adopted, and his mother was very lonely, so he left Harvard, where he was in school, and came out to Montana to be with her.
So basically, he stayed in while his parents, his adopted parents, went to Butte. He stayed in Boston because he was going to Harvard, right? And then she was lonely, so he left Harvard and he went back.
Yes, he was a graduate of the Boston Latin School, and he got a scholarship to Harvard, and that's where he was when his adoptive mother felt very lonely, and so he left and went to Montana, where he graduated from and got a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the University of Montana.
So, what was your father's name?
Stephen Reardon.
Stephen Reardon. Okay.
But his original name, that he was born with, was Stephen Foley.
Oh, really? Interesting. Very interesting. Now, you also mentioned that he thought his siblings died of the plague. Was this, what year was that? When was this plague, and what was it?
He was 4 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And he apparently thought he was the only one. Well, he was. And he was taken away and put in an orphanage. But when he came back to visit me 50 years later, he found he had a sister he never knew about.
Oh.
And she lived here in the United States.
Did she live in Boston?
No, Canada.
Canada.
Yeah. Canada.
And your mother's family?
My mother's family were from Scotland, and they were what they called millwrights, which meant they moved all over the place, and so they came to the United States. But that's how they got from Scotland here, and her relatives were up here, there, and everywhere. So
they just ended up in Butte?
Yeah. Yep. Actually, she ended up in Butte because her parents were living in Jardine, and there was no schools past the 8th grade, so my mother was sent to a girls' school and in Helena, and then she was sent on to graduate school to get her degree in education.
And her name was?
Myrtle May McKilligan.
That's a handful.
Yes.
All right. So what did they do for work when they arrived in Butte? You said.
Well, my father had a degree in electrical engineering, and he worked for the ACM company, and
which is the
Anaconda Copper Mining Company.
Yeah.
And my mother was a teacher, an English teacher.
And she died from a fall?
Yes, she was in her 70s, and she was washing windows, and she was up on a ladder, and the ladder gave way, and she fell off the ladder, and she got an embolism, and it killed her.
And your father, he was in World War I, and he...
My father was in World War I for many years, and he got gassed in World War I, which ate the lining of his stomach. But he lived, and I remember as a child, all he ate was baby food and things like that. And he came to visit us, and he seemed like he was in great shape, but he found out he had this sister he didn't know about, and he went to Boston and found a priest there that looked up all of his genealogy, and he came back and he was ill. What has happened, he had his stomach erupted, and he died here in Vermont of
stomach eruption?
Well, of blood, yeah. And the doctor here said if he'd known all about his problems, you know, but that's what happened. It was like bingo, and he was dead.
Do you know what rank he made it to in the...
Second lieutenant.
Second lieutenant.
In the 32nd Division.
Nice. Oh, I assume it's... All right. So the final question. If you could, give us an interesting but short anecdote from your family history in Butte.
My family history in Butte was sort of different. In Butte itself, everybody had a nickname. It was like, I found out as a child because a man next door, Blackie. And when he died, I wanted to send him a card. And I said, Blackie? Is that a name? And then I found out T.J. Harrington and stuff. But my father was never, ever referred to a nickname. He was Mr. Reardon. And the reason that had happened was because he would go down the mines if there was a, something happens in the mines, they would flood. And he had a degree in electrical engineering, and he'd go down and get the water out of the mines to save the miners. So the miners never gave him a nickname. He was Mr. Reardon. Now, my mother's people were all, they were something. They owned stores and stuff like that, and dentists and stuff like that, but they didn't live in Butte. They lived in Montana, but not Butte. Not Butte.
But everyone in Butte seemed to have a nickname.
Everybody. My husband, his father was Ted. I can't remember what they called him.
Teddy the Tout.
Teddy the Tout. Well, Teddy the Tout meant, tout is somebody that does
a bookie.
A bookie. So I never knew my husband's father's name until after I got married, because he was Teddy the Tout. And actually, what is funny about the whole thing is my husband's family. My husband is a doctor in physics. That's a PhD in physics. His father, Teddy the Tout, got to the 4th grade, and he quit the 4th grade because his father and his older brother got killed. And he quit to help his mother support the family because he sold newspapers. His older brother, who I only know, as I said, you had all these names, Sonny, he made it to the high school, but then he went into I think it was
the Navy or something.
The Navy.
I'm not sure.
Something like that. And he never finished high school. His sister, who was still older,
Annie Louise,
she did finish high school. So, and he had his PhD in physics. So, but as I said, they all had nicknames. His father, Teddy the Tout, and his brother was Sonny. I didn't even know his brother's name.
Yeah.
It was Dick.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time. That's the end.